You keep arcing into my life these days. We spent a few days together in Michigan not long ago, working our butts off, and we had something. I keep thinking about this. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to give out any spoilers. I'll just say this: when after I got home from that trip, when we were hanging stands and out in the heat and pounding steaks in with rocks, I was so freaking sore on the left side of my body after that trip. And I was like, why does it feel like I tore every muscle? And then I was like, oh yeah, remember the last morning when we had
The
that little
left
mishap
side.
out there with that ladder stand?
Oh, the ladder stand. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It turns out that I'm at the age where when something like that happens with a tree stand, it's going to make me feel miserable for about 3 days.
Man, you're getting old, Tony.
Yeah. And so I know,
That was a good time, though.
it was a good time, and I know I can't wait to hear all the people who are going to make fun of us for that, because that is going to make it into that episode. I'm positive, right?
Yeah, that and the ratchet strap challenges and all the other stupid stuff for sure. I will. I'll be getting crap about this for years.
I just did a piece. I just wrote a digital piece for Bowhunter on, speaking of the ratchet strap thing. Last year when I elk hunted, I was running a mystery ranch pack, a mystery ranch Metcalf,
Yep.
and I shot that bull, and then Tyler Pierce, my buddy I was with, he's like, okay, this is how you turn it into like a pack frame pack, and this is how we can pack all the meat out. And he's adjust all these straps and stuff, and it worked awesome. And I cannot get that thing back together. Like I've been working on that goddamn pack for like a year. And every time that I like cinch it up and I look on YouTube and I'm trying to get this thing back together, I'm like, I don't know if I have to throw this thing away or what. Like I can't get it back together. So it's a testament to my ratchet strap skills.
Yeah, man, it's weird. You and I have similar brains in that regard. We're pretty good with strategy and concepts, but when it comes to putting crap together, we're just not quite there, Tony.
No, I'll never be there. I
It does. It makes me feel a lot better to know that I'm not the only one in the world like that. I can't tell you how much our visit together just put me in a better place mentally to know that Tony is right there with me.
Strength in numbers, buddy.
Yeah.
You not too long ago you hunted the Idaho opener. You spent a lot of time out there,
Yeah.
and you were freaking covered
For
in people.
whitetails.
Yep, for whitetails.
Covering people. It was even in Michigan, man. I'm thinking even my Michigan public land hunting, this might have been the most run-ins with other people I've had on any of my public land whitetail trips yet.
Yeah, it's bad. And were those people that you ran into, were they all hunting whitetails too, or was it a mix of people out just doing everything Idaho has to offer and you just bumped into them?
This spot really doesn't have much else to do. So yeah, it was all deer hunters. And then as we discussed the other day on my show, one group of people that were trying to sabotage the location for other deer hunters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just, and it was surprising, especially in these Western states. You know, I've hunted not quite as much as, obviously not as much as you have, but a decent bit now. And usually it's great, especially in the early season, because all these people are out there hunting elk, hunting mule deer, hunting antelope. Nobody's thinking about whitetails. So you kind of have these places a little bit more to yourself than maybe something in Michigan or Iowa or wherever. But that was not the case this year. There were a bunch of people chasing whitetails and getting after it early. So it made for I came into it knowing to be prepared for hunting pressure. But I thought, all right, you're going to have one or two bad incidents and you'll pivot and adjust and it'll be fine. And it ended up being 8 or 9 incidents, and I had to pivot every single time. And it just made for more challenges than I was even expecting.
Yeah, this is a weird year. You know, when I was in North Dakota for the opener, I legitimately think there were 4 times as many people as I've ever seen out. And you know, they have their deer season opens on that Friday, and then the resident elk season opens Saturday in that unit. And so there's generally a lot of people out, but it's a lot of people driving roads, a lot of people on UTVs, and you don't see people getting down in some of the places I hunt, which you kind of know where those are. And I saw people everywhere, and it was a good reminder, you know, and I know you're hearing this from a lot of people, but a lot of bow hunters are going out on their first out of state, you know, public land bow hunt. They're hitting these states where the September 1 opener or first week of September. And it's really easy to sit there and look at your aerial photography, your satellite imagery, and go, okay, this is my spot. This is where they're going to be. But you get there, and maybe, yeah, there's deer there, but it takes one or two guys and everything changes. And so you got to have, I mean, I felt this way, like a good reinforcer. I'm like, I need to have plan B, C, D, E, just because of this reason. And I think this is going to carry on this entire season.
Yeah. And we were talking about this recently, how it's this weird combination of the rising tide of interest in public land deer hunting, right? There's been a lot of media around that, you know, your writing and your stuff, the hunting public, media, whatever. A lot of people talking about public land. It's great. So there's a lot of new interest there. And then the flip side, you also have the pandemic, which has sent a lot of people looking for new things to do outside. And so there's been, which is an exciting development, hopefully new people taking up hunting. But those two things combined are making, from what we've seen so far and what will probably keep happening throughout the rest of the year, like you said, a challenging situation for people trying to have those experiences out there. And to your point, reinforcing the importance of having backup plans, I had the exact same thought. And I had two things happen to me. I thought to myself, you did a good job. Thank goodness you did a good job in having backup plans, because I came into this hunt with 4 different areas that I had found and picked out as options. So I had 4 options to hunt from. But what I found that I wish I'd done more of is in-depth on-the-ground scouting of all those 4 spots. Basically, what I'd been able to do is I'd found these places on maps, and I had a couple nights in the summer when I was out there that I was able to drive around and eyeball these things in person. But the extent of what I did was on... Let me think through this. All of them I got on the ground and walked through them, but it was a quick walkabout just to see, okay, does this look like what I think it would look like? And two of them I got to check out at last light and glass fields around them to see, okay, are there deer out here? What's the quality of deer? So I got the basic sense, and that's what kind of helped me rank order these. Is I found, okay, this is one that has some sign. I see some beds. I've got some intel that tells me there should be some deer here. There was another one where we had a camera up and a neighbor in this general area that was talking with me, and we kind of got an idea of what was running around out there, and I'd done a little bit of walking. Another spot I had glassed and then snuck in at last light and watched a kind of a travel corridor and saw some deer coming through, and that told me right away, okay, yeah, this has got some deer of the caliber I'm looking for, a good number of deer, and this is the basic food source that they're using over here. But that was it. That's what I had to work with. In previous years, that was enough to get me going. If I found a spot that was hard to get to and had deer, I knew, hey, I can figure it out. Once I get here, I'll figure the rest out. I just need to know, like, this has the deer and this has, decently difficult access for the average person. I got it. I can do it. But I found myself, once I started hunting these places, immediately my plan A got thrown out the window, and then plan B got thrown out the window. And then I'm pushing into a lot deeper than I even expected to have to do. And it sure would have helped if I had walked all of this stuff and knew that, hey, back here, this is where the best bedding cover starts. And this is the main creek crossing. And hey, these 6 different fields that run across a 4-mile stretch, this one's corn, this one's alfalfa, this one's hay or whatever. If I had known that ahead of time, I wouldn't have had to waste an entire day of hunting, hiking back to these places and try to hunt a spot that I thought might be good and then ends up being a dud. I had a few experiences like that where I wasted a day because I thought if I got to this really hard to get to place, that was probably alfalfa. That's probably where the deer would be. And then I hiked 2.5 miles back in there, and it turns out to be a plowed under field or something like that. So,
yeah.
I was partway there with having a bunch of options that we ended up having to use. I just didn't get to spend enough time learning each of those options, which in the future, I realize now we need to do an even better job of that, because it's getting harder to go into brand new stuff without having some intel if you're expecting all of these people.